Hey, good morning, good afternoon. I guess it's good afternoon. No, not yet. We're still
We're
morning.
close.
We're still morning. But welcome back, everybody. Hope the first couple videos were good and informative. As Zach and I are kicking off our Monday morning here, and just diving into some things that we normally discuss and divulge on a Monday. We found that we have some good topics to talk about and kind of just wanted to hit record and see where today takes us. So we were talking about just some common pitfalls that we saw with some of our clients, maybe through the weekend, through the end of last week, that we just have to tidy up, get fixed up for this week, and figured we'd give you guys some info on it. So, I mean, really, that's kind of what today's about. Zach, is there anything you wanted to add on that, or?
No, I think you're pretty spot on there, Dario. Obviously, you and I have been talking about this a little bit. Um, but yeah, as Dario said, every week we kind of go through our schedule, what we experienced last week, what we need to do this week. Um, and had some interesting things last week and started thinking, wow, okay, we see these things a little too frequently. Let's at least throw them out to the public and say, hey, be on the lookout for these things or be mindful of these things when it comes to your technology stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I was explaining to Dario before we got started that I had a meeting with a prospective client last week. They need to be migrated on their server. They're on server 2003, which I don't know if anybody's checking the bottom right corner of their computer screen. It's 2021. So that server can now vote here in the US. It's 18 years old. And in order for them to do anything that they want to do, we have to, at minimum, get them to server 2008. Server 2003 has been end of life from Microsoft for many years, which means they do not get the appropriate security updates. They don't have, well, a lot of the features they need, number one, which is why they're reaching out about this in the first place. So they're in kind of a bad spot. And we see this a lot, actually a lot with manufacturers who have old proprietary software. They have something that runs a CNC router or, some kind of machine that somebody wrote a program for them at one point in time and they haven't updated it because,
It works.
that guy probably doesn't do it anymore, frankly. Which that's a separate issue that I'll turn to later. Perks of having a one-man shop. If he retires, so does all your other stuff.
Do.
That's right. And that's kind of what happened in this situation, that they had somebody who wrote the software. It's based off of Access backend, Access 2003, by the way. So it is going to be an undertaking and is probably going to take us about 50 to 60 hours worth of work to get them to a presentable place, which will be several thousands of dollars. And again, what's it worth to upgrade throughout time, or to, if you punt the ball down the road like has been happening here, it's going to cost you a lot of money and you're not going to have a choice but to do it, which is kind of what they're running into right now.
Yeah, so I'll kind of play, I guess, naive client over here and ask some questions around some of the things you had unpacked there. Now, I know some of the other videos were a lot more open. This one was a little bit more in depth, and thank you. It's good to do that. I want to kind of ask, you mentioned about going from 2003 to 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because of a compliance issue, or is it just so outdated that it is not running with some of their newer systems? And I don't want to dive in too much of what this customer does, but what is the real reason? I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we want it updated. We want to get something new.
Sure.
But are they getting slapped on the hand, or are they getting held to the fire? Like, what's going on here that actually is causing the update there?
To our knowledge, they have not been slapped on the hand, not having compliance issues. I think if I peered into my IT crystal ball, they are probably headed that route if they don't resolve some of these things. The immediate trigger is they were looking to go to a cloud hosted platform instead of buying a new server in-house.
Okay,
And in order to, but they can't lose their data.
sure.
Nobody can lose your data. So in order to get to that new cloud host platform, they have to, at minimum, be on server 2008 service pack to 2008 R2, as a lot of people call it. The complication there is 2003 is a 32-bit server. I won't go too far down the rabbit hole. And 2008 R2 is a 64-bit server. So there's no easy path to upgrade, only the time-consuming and expensive ways.
I can imagine. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so yeah, for them to get to the cloud and where most everybody else is headed these days, that's what it's going to take for them. So they've been able to hobble along this long, but it's not a viable long-term solution.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I mean, and I guess from our previous videos, they don't have a reliable source of a backup for this system, or do they? And it still is just so outdated that it cannot help in the cause of the migration.
So they do.
Okay, well, positive, right?
Have a backup. Let me, yeah, exactly. Let me back up and sorry, bad pun.
And again, I know we have to be very generic. We cannot talk too in depth about the client, but the concept still pertains over.
So here was kind of the problem with that is while they do have a copy of the backups, the copy of the backups are stored on the same server. So if that goes
really
down, technically, yes.
Okay.
But if that piece of equipment goes down, good luck. That's not coming back.
And we don't want to go too far just into the backup topic, but still, at the end of the day, you can argue that it is a backup, but if there's no redundancy, and look at the point in case right now that they're seeing, and I know we have to put the proverbial air quotes, thank you, this is a video, we can at least get them out there to see.
Sure, yeah.
But is that a real backup? Is that something that you should be doing? Because we talked last week on an emergency situation.
Yeah.
But now we're just talking on a positive, an upgrade. Let's get the system running better. And now look at how you're handcuffing yourself by not having this, right?
That's kind of like saying, hey, I keep the spare key to my car under the seat in my car.
Correct.
You lock yourself out of your car. Great, you got a spare key, but you're not getting into where it is to get it. And that's kind of what you have in that situation. If it's not on any other piece of machinery, you could even put it on an external hard drive and have a better chance.
Sure.
At least then it's somewhere else. But as we all know, we don't know if we're not testing the backups, how viable they are, if they've corrupted. If the power flickered while they were transferring, something like that, or let's be honest, we're one spilled cup of water away from total disaster there.
Sure.
So, that's again why we do the 3 just in case. But that they don't even have one of those, or technically, I guess they have one, but not a good one in place. So yeah, that's one of the things that I've seen a lot recently is just older folk or older companies trying to do the right thing,
yes,
and get up to where they need to be, and realizing just how bad of a corner they've painted themselves in by trying to push us down the road and not addressing it.
Sure. No, so I guess you talked about how they want to move to a cloud platform. Are they looking at kind of hosting their own cloud? Or are they looking at using a product from, say, K2, like our Everest?
Yeah,
or are they using something like an AWS, a Cisco product? What are they looking at doing there?
They are looking at doing a third-party host.
Okay.
Not hosting it themselves.
So they have to truly migrate over. It's not
exactly. So there are going to be certain standards that have to be in place in order for any third party to be able to do that.
And that's what I wanted to ask the question for those of that, when you said that it's not a standard transfer or an easy move. It's not simply just plugging in a wire from the old server to the new server and then we spin it up. That is, in technicality, you could do that, but that is not what they're trying to do. They are trying to get with a cloud server, something that utilizes, like we said, a third party, so they're not having to have physical equipment at their location. They'll still have some, but not to the extent of.
Well, and
Go ahead.
you're 100% correct. They, free up some real estate, for lack of a better description. But moreover, they now don't have to go buy a new server to keep in house. And as we've seen with supply chain disruptions this year, that can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months right now. And also things are getting more and more expensive. So.
And I don't want to dive too much into that topic because as I'm sitting here, I think we can do a whole episode just on going with a cloud third party, doing it in house.
Sure.
Cloud versus a hardware server itself. So I think there's a lot of things to dive into there. But at the very least, there are a lot of performance things that you can get out of working with a third party because you don't have to do it yourself. You have efficiency gains by not having to have, let's say, somebody manage it, build it, or even just build it, right?
Yeah.
To start, as well as just the upkeep with your employees. And when people are interacting and engaging with it, you eliminate a lot of those. A third party, for example, regardless of who you're using, whether it be a K2 product or an AWS product, or anywhere in between, they're going to come with some level of support and service around it. And then the last piece too that I think is really impactful for a small business is just how it's priced, right? You can probably, for the most part, it's a monthly type fee that you would get one of these up and running in comparison to having to lay out the cash for hardware,
Absolutely,
labor, and build all up front.
Well,
And I guess our client here is seeing a combination of that, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, they're going down the checklist at this point in time of things that need to be addressed. And one thing that I kind of want to circle back to that you mentioned just a second ago is the efficiencies in this. We've heard several times before, hey, rate's too high. I'll use ballpark numbers because easy math. You're $100 an hour. Well, I've got somebody that, does it at $50 an hour. Okay. Just like in most other businesses, what takes him an hour may take me a half hour. You pay the same price because it took half hour and now you can function a half hour sooner. So you can go back to making revenue again. So don't be so driven by the bottom line that those things get missed, because a lot of times something that may take somebody 30, 40 hours may take a qualified third party only 10 or 15. And
Sure.
While you end up with the same amount of money being outlaid, you are able to function and make money faster. And it's that opportunity cost, but we won't go back to Econ 101. I dreaded that class. I don't want to do it anymore.
Well, it's, and yet again, as we come here for this LinkedIn video, we're going to have to wrap up in the next minute. I think we can, continue this conversation as well. Obviously, there's a lot of good to have, but it's funny how a basic economy concept carries over into the tech world so evidently with small business. And yes, we should not have to be having those conversations, but those are what we see from our clients. Those are the pain points when they call us and say, hey, Zach, Dario, I can't get up and running today. How long is it going to take? And you're like, well, you hate to say I told you so, but a lot of times we do have to have those conversations. We can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. But at the end of the day, those are where they blend again, where you're seeing basic economy hit the tech world and how we can help businesses stay afloat there. And
believe there's the age old saying, Dario, that time is money. And I mean, that 100% comes into play because you can be crippled by your technology these days. It's just so integrated into everything. And if it costs you time, it costs you money.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate it, Zach. We'll try to follow this up in another video here, but thanks for listening to this one. And as always, let us know if we have any questions we can answer for you.
Absolutely. Stay safe out there, guys.
Okay. Bye.